Member Eugenie Sage.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Like others in this House, I rise reluctantly to speak on the Christchurch City Council Rates Validation Bill, because the average daily cost of running this Parliament is over $500,000, and the average bill costs $1.43 million, according to the Parliamentary Library. So this local bill, promoted by the Christchurch City Council, is a very expensive way of fixing errors which the City Council could have avoided. And as others have noted, the Council breached the Local Government Rating Act 2002. It made mistakes in the way it worded its rating resolutions, both in relation to the payment dates for rates, the authority to impose penalties on unpaid rates, and in relation to targeted rates for Church Bay and Governor's Bay. And certainly the Council was trying to simplify the resolutions, but these mistakes continued for 10 years. And while the bill only attracted one submission, even though it is retrospective legislation, it's probably uncontroversial because ratepayers don't engage with the minutiae of rating resolutions, and because the actual rating demands that the Council sent out were correctly worded. So the Council's made mistakes and share with other members the concerns about the offhand way in which officers presented to the Select Committee. But the City Council, in its long-term plan for 2015-2025, is proposing to make an even bigger mistake than the ones that this bill aims to correct. Because in that long-term plan, the Council is proposing to sell off or sell down shares in strategic assets like Orion, the Littleton Port Company, the Christchurch International Airport, CityCare, EcoCare and Red Bus. And the dividends from these council-owned companies through Christchurch City Holdings have provided a key source of revenue to Christchurch. They've helped fund the council's services and its activities, and they've helped offset rates. They've meant that rates in Christchurch have been lower than Selwyn and Waimakariri, neighbouring councils. They've been lower than in other city centres like Hamilton, Wellington, Tauranga. And the cash dividend which the City Council gets from these companies in the forthcoming financial year is estimated to be around $46 million. That has the effect of lowering council rates by 13%. And Mr Speaker, when those cash dividends have averaged 3% in the last 3 years and 4% in the last 10 years, and when they've averaged, when there's been a 26% return to shareholders since 1996 because of asset growth and appreciation on capital value, that has been a very good return to the people of Christchurch. If the Council proceeds to sell off those assets, the dividend stream will halve. So it's a very short-sighted decision which the Council is being panicked into making because of the National Government's reluctance to renegotiate the cost-sharing agreement with Council, its reluctance to take costly projects like the stadium out of the cost-sharing agreement off the Council's books, and its reluctance to re-engage and contribute a fairer share to the costs of repairing the Council's horizontal infrastructure. So, Mr Speaker, the Council has come to Parliament to ask us to fix these problems with its rating resolutions, to effectively validate the payment dates for the rates and the issues around penalties. It's come to Parliament to ensure that all the money that it has received from the rates that it's levied is lawful, that it can go after people who haven't paid rates lawfully and not face a legal challenge there. But it won't be able to come back to Parliament and ask the House to solve the problems that the sell-off of these strategic assets like Orion, like the Port Company, like the Airport Company will cause. Problems where ratepayers in future will be complaining about the rise in their rates because the revenue base for the Council has narrowed. It's had to rely much more on rates rather than dividend income. And, Mr Speaker, we won't be able to fix those problems. So, the Council should be looking at alternatives to asset sales to meet the financial shortfall. It should take a much more rigorous look at its own spending. and it should scale back some of the roading projects. It should renegotiate the cost-sharing agreement, because we need a much wider revenue base, not a narrower one. So, Mr Speaker, could go on and talk at some length about the problems with mixed ownership models, but I don't think you'll be comfortable with that. So, coming back to the bill, I was puzzled that the Society of Local Government Managers, that the Department of Internal Affairs, that Local Government New Zealand had not done more to improve the ways and to improve council practice around rating resolutions, because as Scott Muller mentioned, this is the third piece of legislation we've had to deal with in recent years where we've had to validate council rates setting procedures. Belatedly, that work is being done to improve practice. There have been seminars conducted. The SOLGIM is updating and expanding its guide on rates setting. There's been a guide for elective members which has been set out and developed. But, Mr Speaker, this problem is nothing compared to the problems that will arise if the City Council is bullied by government into selling Christchurch assets. We will be supporting this bill, but we do so reluctantly. Thank you.